Morning, everybody. It is April 27th, 8:27 a.m. Sorry for a little bit of a late start. Lots of news, of course. Meta earnings. We got Amazon earnings after the close. We got GDP numbers coming out in 2 minutes. I'll probably go to that just to see the economic calendar in a second. So give me 1 second for that. Not sure if this is going to move markets. So GDP expected quarter over quarter 2%. GDP price index 3.7 forecast, and we have initial jobless claims forecast 248. Tomorrow we have PCE, so that should be a big one. Well, let's just see. Got about 50 seconds to this reports. Hope everybody had a good day yesterday. I only put on one trade. Oh, two trades. A Google long, which was like about a 70% return, which is okay. And then I had an SPX call credit spread. That worked out pretty nicely. And this news is going to drop in about 10 seconds. So jobless claims, if they go up, I'm sure the market might get a little more pumped up. Oh, they're under, and GDP is not as good. So that's interesting. So GDP was forecasted at 2.0. Okay, the GDP price index was higher, but the GDP quarter over quarter is now projected to be lower than forecasted, and the jobless claims was a miss. In the normal market, you'd want to see jobless claims down, but in this market, you want to see it higher due to like the Fed being aggressive. Very interesting. So we got pending home sales at 10. Okay. We got Amazon reporting after the close. That's probably I think that's the biggest, the last of one of the behemoths for this week. Okay, now we can start. Go back. Welcome everybody, if there is even anybody. I don't think I even have a person watching right now. It's okay, but we'll get into it, right? Because people watch it regardless. So, of course, let's do the introduction. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Welcome to my channel. I use futures volume profile, market profile to plan trades. Also use supply and demand zones, and my newfound love, the GEX levels, gamma exposure levels, that have been pretty important. I mentioned Microsoft's levels yesterday, pretty much held to the T. So that worked out pretty good. Had a long on Google based on one of those levels. Didn't get the momentum I wanted, but still profitable trade. So, of course, subscribe. Trying to Let's go to 200 here. All right, I'm at 101. I think I'm kind of stuck there. But that's okay, right? So, of course, you guys can always follow me on Twitter, Gonzo719. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram. That's Gonzo719 Jersey. Okay. And let's get into what happened. What's happening right now, actually. Okay, let's get into what's happening right now. Pull up the watch list. Okay, so Bitcoin is up 3.37%, still under 30K. Ether's up 2.32. 10-year yield has risen 1.37. Nasdaq is up a percent. Silver's getting some love, 0.85. ES up 0.56. Crude's up 0.51. The Dow's up 0.48. Gold's up 0.44. Russell's up 0.32. The dollar is flat. Bonds being sold. The VIX is down 4%, 4.19%. Okay, let's move over. Okay, let's look at some notables here. Meta, big beat on earnings yesterday, up 12.18%. Monster move pre-market. Okay, Amazon getting some love, up 2.72%. Coin up 2.06%. Whoa, that just like changed in front of my eyes. Still 1.76%. Now Bitcoin and Ether getting love. Coin's gonna get some love, right? Well, it just went up to 2% again. It's moving around. All right, so Nvidia is up 1.39%. AMD up 1.26%. So semi's getting some love too. I'm gonna just talk about the one percenters. All right, I just saw Boeing got an upgrade. So Meta, no surprise, they got an upgrade as well. Is there a laggard? Well, Tesla's been getting beat down, and Tesla is down 0.53. Tesla is really getting beat down. It has been in negative gamma, so that is definitely going to be a problem. All right, the negative gamma. So let's move on. Roblox getting the most love in my next watch list, followed by JP Morgan, followed by Salesforce. Wow. AbbVie, the laggard. Home Depot and AbbVie. AbbVie's down 5.9%. Did they report? Yes, they did. Actual, okay, they must have. AbbVie shares are trading lower after the company reported. I guess they had bad guidance. So, AbbVie's down. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to sectors. No surprise. Communications up 3.03%. Meta is a big part of that. Okay. Discretionary, that's Amazon. Financials, of course. There is no laggard. Okay. Surprised semis aren't up a little more, being that Nvidia and AMD. That's a little surprising. All right. Let's go into some news that we probably already know already, but let's just go over some. So we got market news here. So what do we have? Facebook, Meta, touts AI might as digital ads boost outlook. So we know that Caterpillar actually had beat earnings as well. Let's see. Oh, it says, yeah, okay. Merck had better than expected earnings. Hasbro beat first quarter earnings. Now let's see here. Just want to see if there's anything else to. I mean, we already know Meta beat. I'm not going to go into detail about that. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. Activision, I talked about that being blocked from Microsoft, from the UK. Walt Disney's in a lawsuit with Florida. And there's the Boeing upgrade from 230 to 237. Meta has been raises their target price. JP Morgan from 270 to 305. Okay. And that's really all from there. If we go here, not much there. That's probably pretty much all I want to talk about. In the news, we can get to the daily charts. right, so we can see clearly here, big consolidation, a breakout lower. Yesterday had some strength, but then sold off. So let's zoom in here. Okay, but this is not mattering not as much right now. But however, we did accept the prices lower yesterday. Okay, we broke out of this big balance range now. Where are we at now? 314.43. So we're like near the highs of yesterday right now in the Nasdaq and the Qs. Okay, if we start to traverse this range, balance rules are, okay, this was then a look below and fail, and what's going to happen is all these shorts you're going to cover, and we should go to 320 if we start to creep back into range. Okay, we still have Amazon. What if Amazon hits it out of the park at the end at the close today? You know, and then Apple comes through next week and does the same thing. Now let's see, Apple's reporting 5.4. Okay, they're the last of the behemoths there, so very interesting. Okay, that's the Qs. I usually start with the SPY. Sorry for that. Let's go to the SPY. Okay, so we broke the 405. Alright, notice the ES is weaker. We made a lower low. Went all the way down to this. We went all the way down to 403.78. Okay, where are we at now? We're at 406.50. Okay, so we're almost at yesterday's open. Okay, same thing though. You broke 405. If we start to go into range, not as nice of a range as the Nasdaq had. Same thing though. Shorts are going to start to cover. Okay, but we have to see. If it gets knocked down again, man, Amazon is the last sign there for some bulls. Okay. All right, let's look at the Dow. Dow did trigger that level yesterday I talked about, right? It came right up to that 336 level, and then it sold off, and it actually went all the way down to this support that we talked about yesterday. Okay, closed underneath the 100-day moving average. So at a very key level. Now where's the Dow? 334.60. 344.60. See, the Dow's weaker. It's about the middle of yesterday's range, the 50% of yesterday. Okay, a little weaker, right? IWM got hammered yesterday. Okay, the Russell. So this range was a tight range, broke out lower. Where did we go? We went right to this level, 171. Closed right here. Where is it now? 172.10. So at the mid of the, it's about at the open, yesterday's open, and the Russell. So weaker. Okay, of course tech, which is the Nasdaq, is leading the charge. Okay, this has a lot of work to do. I mean, this is almost 100%. You know, it's coming right back to the bottom. I mean, it never went past the 38.2 Fibonacci. So, okay. So let's look at our triple-headed monster. Now it's getting a rise today, but it's still a lot of indecisiveness here. It's still just all over the place. Okay, but this is the smart money. So if this starts to rise up here again and breaks these highs right here, then we could look at the market moving down, and that could happen before the market actually does it. All right. Now the VIX was pretty high. Even yesterday, we had a high of 19.6. We're holding above this 17.3. We're at 18.2 right now. We're right here. Okay, so keep an eye on that if you get elevated VIX. And the dollar is just flat. It's probably going to have a doji candle right now. It's moving up a little bit now. Okay, before it was like flat. So look at this doji land. This is like crazy. I mean, this is like you barely see bodies, right? Crazy. Crazy, crazy. And you got this 101.30 about holding support before it breaks. Okay, you can see the weeklies. You can see right here, look at this support in the weeks. I mean, wow. We came from 85, 80, 89, so let's go here, all the way from here, right? Now look at this support. We could fall all the way down here to 95. Pretty interesting, right? Let's look at the monthlies. You know, you can see it very clearly here. It's been a lot of support here. That cracks, man. Very interesting. All right, that wraps that up. Move over to the market profile and see what we're doing. All right, let me fix this. Okay, so we're getting some weakness, it looks like, from that jobless claims miss and the GDP. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. It's not telling us a lot. All right, now what you do see, not yet in the real-time trading hours, okay, but we're going to talk about that. Let me get my marker up. Okay, so first let's look at this profile. A pretty ugly looking one. But remember, the monthly is balanced, okay? And we had a breakout. So now we have excess. See this like orange line here? It's the excess now. So the weekly profile looks a little ugly, okay? But on the profile, if you notice, this is 24-hour chart. It was actually able on the ES to move the most traded price of the week down to 4,100. Okay, so that's kind of like a key area. Okay, now that didn't happen on the real-time trading chart, which is here. See, the most traded price of the week is still up here at 41.47. However, you can see the volume building down here, and we're close to here now. So I suspect this should move lower, and when that moves lower, that is bearish. Okay, but if it can't move lower, it's going to go back. Okay, so that's one win, still a little win for the bears in the ES. Okay, so now what do we look at, right? So we still have our big levels up here because they haven't moved yet, but I suspect that the most traded price of the week will move down here. Okay, this, at least the weekly, will move down, and then that's bearish because that makes it a wall. Doesn't mean it can't be broken, but generally you get lower prices when that happens. Okay, so now we look at where are we at now. So right here, 40.95 prices right there. Here's yesterday's high. Here's yesterday's low. Here's the overnight high. Here's the overnight low. We're inside yesterday's session. We have a balanced profile overnight. So this does not right now give us any edge, really. Inside yesterday's session, okay. We closed down here. Now the only edge I would say, now it's in yesterday's session, so that's balance. Okay, now the only thing that I am noticing, we have to put this in context, and this is basically because of meta, but it's still important. So we closed here, we opened here in the overnight. It's 100% net long, so everybody in the overnight is long. Now I would like it to be up here to get the fade. Right now we have overhead supply, a supply zone here that held yesterday, and a supply zone here. So overnight overnight traders are weak hands. Okay, they're not major market movers. So if we get a push up, that could be a nice fade. Okay, so that is something you have to take note of. Now, when you see 100% net long like this, I like to see price up here because then it's everybody's long, right? Now we can break it out. I can show you the movement. Let's just break it out. So you can see, right? So everyone from here, long, 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 long. Now, this just broke some of these longs, but still everyone here still long. So I'd like to see it push up. Okay. So now that we have that, the most trader price is probably going to move here, which even makes a short even more appetizing. So let's talk about a trade plan. Now we're going to talk about the short. Okay. Now, I just talked about the 100% net long inventory in the overnight. Okay. We have supply overhead. We have the most trader price most likely will move down here. That it's in the 24-hour is still good because it moved down in the 24-hour session, but I want to see it move down in the real-time trading session. Okay, so what I want to see is a push up. Now this supply zone happens to just end. There's another one overlapping at yesterday's high. So if we go to yesterday's high and even poke our head above and then come through and make some lower highs, you target first this most traded price of yesterday. Then see this most traded price of the overnight. If we crack through that, we're gonna fall, and you're gonna target the overnight lows, 40.80 here. Then there's a demand zone here, the start of one right here. Okay. Not sure if we might get a push. If you hold one on, we might even test yesterday's lows. That also has a demand zone. Okay, you got the 50-day moving average here as well. I suspect that would get bought. So that's the short. That's really what I'm really gonna focus on. You got two supplies. Most traded price of the week. 100% net long in the inventory in the overnight. Okay. So that looks like a good trade. Now let's talk about the long. Now we're going to talk long. Two scenarios can happen. Okay. If you're going to talk long, this can happen, right? If you're like, no, I want to be long. Well, that sell-off could happen. So you could push up, come down here, this demand, pop, and then you target this right here. And then you're going to have tough sledding through these supplies. Okay. But you might want to hold on to see if you can break them. Maybe go up to the 9 EMA daily. You also have this yesterday's low with a demand and the 50-day moving average. So even if we come down here to make some lower highs, you can target probably the developing POC, which I don't know what that would be, and then go right here and maybe hold a runner to see if you can go here, right? If you don't want to buy that dip and you want to be more conservative, you're going to want to see these supply zones broken and we hold and you make some lower highs, and then you can go for here. That's monthly VWAP 4140 and the 20-day simple moving average. Because now you broke these supplies and then you're holding above the most traded price of the week, and you go right back and possibly tag the most traded price of the month. Hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, pretty simple plan. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. So Nasdaq, we got our long-term 30-day, the month profile, very balanced, right? Now we have excess. We have excess. Okay. Now, and notice the profile is still a balanced profile in the Nasdaq for the last week. Look at that. Very balanced. That's showing the strength, right? It pulled down, has excess at the top, has excess at the bottom. It's a beautiful profile. That could be a sign of balance today. Not sure, right? Now, right now, currently, we have to look at major levels. So the most traded price of the month is 130.70, which was right here. Nasdaq's heading towards that. This level is a pretty big level, okay? That should cause resistance. Now, notice yesterday the most traded price of the week moved lower. However, and it happened to be the most traded price of yesterday. However, Nasdaq is above this level. So what you see here is ping pong. You got a major level here at the lows of the overnight, and you got a major level above. So it could do this today. But you have to gauge them above this and below this as bullish, bearish. Okay? So now let's look at where we're at. Now this is a tiny gap higher. Okay, I'm gonna expand this a little bit. Okay, so it's a very small gap right now. Okay, obviously Meta has a lot to do with this. Amazon, I mean Meta's up 14% right now. Okay, now let's look at where we're at. So this is yesterday's high, yesterday's low, overnight high, overnight low. So we're at the highs of the session of yesterday. Now, there was a weak high here that was already just broken. So check this high out and this high out. See how they were never breached? So this session came up, made a high, right? The next session couldn't go back to that high. Well, then yesterday that was the high. And then guess what? Whenever you have those weak highs, that's weak hands in the market. That's not big, that's not institutions and banks that are selling there. So look at this, the overnight, what do? We broke it. So this weak high was broke now. Now, can it hold here to go long? Possibly, but I'm just noting that that is a weak high that just has been broken. And now profit taking is ensued. All right. So this is like it's like no gap, tiny gap. Right now it's back into the session, okay? So this profile is also a very balanced profile. See the profile? It's pretty balanced with a small gap. And I don't know what this is, like such on the edge that I don't even know if I call it a gap up yet or not, but it's right here at the highs of yesterday, which is going to be bullish. You're at the highs of yesterday, right? You close down here. Now, here's the thing again. And this now is a weak low. Again, let me explain. Okay. So so the overnight low. So let's look at this. We opened here and we only had this much short activity in the Nasdaq. The rest of it's been long. So it's pretty much 100% net long. I'm going to call it 100%, right? 100%. So we have 100% net long in the overnight. Now, here's the key. This is also the most traded price right here. I've talked about this before. It's confluence, okay? So we have the most traded price of the week here, the most traded price of yesterday here, and the overnight low. and it's 100% net long. Okay, so this is very, very, very important level in the market. If somehow there's weakness and we come down and we pierce this with volume, it's going to cause a sell-off, a rapid sell-off, and a nice move. Does that sustain? I don't know, but it should cause a quick move down. And then it's a matter of, do we go through this level or do we hold it and then you move down to this demand zone? So mark what I'm saying, okay? This level right here, 129.36, that's the weak low. If we revisit that with a lot of weakness in the market with volume, it's gonna get ripped. Remember, think about this. The most contracts are traded at this price of the last week and yesterday, and it's the overnight low. So a lot of people are going to get hurt if it gets broken. Okay. Now it's more of a scalp thing. If you want to take it, if you want to just do like a sell stop at the lows here, take the scalp lower, see how much move you get from it. Okay, so now we got that in our hands. We're starting a gap. Now we have a gap going. It's a small gap though. All right, so let's get into a trade plan. All right, we'll talk about the since it's strong and we're above that trade, we'll talk about a long. Okay, it's gonna be pretty easy. We're gonna use this level. So what I want to see in a long, there's a couple situations here to go long. Okay, I'd like to see, there's a supply zone right here. So I'm not going to long at the top of this range. So I'd like to see it come in, test it, break the supply, but then fall back to yesterday's high, the gap fill. Okay. This is also the 90 EMA daily. And if we hold this, well, then you can target this 130.70, the most traded price of the month. That's going to be hard to cut through, but if you do, you got another supply and a monthly VWAP of 130.97. So that's one way of going long. Another long, okay, is if we do come down here and this holds, it holds, higher low, well, then you go long, you target yesterday's high, and then you target the overnight high. Okay, this can also do this, go through it, break like I said it was, but then rip back, hold, you go long. And then of course, if the market does get weak and come into here, this big demand zone, you see how it handles it. If the market doesn't really get that weak, well, then you can go long and you target here. Well, even if we go into this, there's big demand zones here, so I'd be very cautious with shorts here. You have to see really a lot of weakness. Okay, that's the longs. Let's go with the short. Okay, so in a short world, similar to playing off of what I said about the longs, if we come into this supply with this huge level, and this is like probably a short I'd like, because you're going against this level, and we try to break it and we can't, we start making lower highs and people might want to take profits, well, then you target the gap. And then if you think we're going to fall off a cliff, you would target the most traded price of the week and yesterday. And then if you still had some contracts, go to here. Okay, more conservative short is this week low I talked about. You break it, you come back. You can't sustain over this level, you start holding below it, making some lower highs, that's when you target this demand. And this demand could get a little scary, but if you get really weak, then you target, you know, the over yesterday's lows. So see, we're getting some strength now. And of course, the gap rules are in play. Gap and go is the most bullish. If you fail to fill the gap and then go higher, that's bullish. If you fill the gap and go higher, that's bullish. But then if we go back, fill the gap and start going back into range, well, that's not very bullish. Okay? And that kind of wraps up what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully, everybody has the plans. I mean, I think they're pretty clear today. All right. So, as always, subscribe, trying to build my channel, and set alerts, share with your friends. Of course, you got my Twitter, Gonzo719. Got my Instagram, Gonzo719 Jersey. Of course, always give me a like, that helps me out. Okay. And let's make some money today. Let's stay patient. Okay, this market's crazy. Stay patient. We got our plan. I had a little late start today, so I don't have many levels that I can see right now that I'm really looking at yet, because I gotta do some homework before the market opens. So apologize for that, but yeah, patience isn't easy. Patience is not easy. Even when I think I'm being the most patient, you can get impatient. And then you're like, why did I do that? Because your emotions get the best of you, right? You can't control emotions. You have to understand your trigger points with emotions, which is always a work in progress. So that's how I kind of look at it. I kind of go, let me avoid that. I don't want to do that. I'll journal it and be like, how can I avoid when it gives me that feeling? And then I'll have to devise something to reroute my brain or something to be like, don't fall in love with that. Avoid that. So then you make rules. You know, that's why trading's so hard. Trading's very hard. So, but it's basically like a great quote that I heard, very inspirational. Market wizards and stuff like that. You listen to those guys, and all the top traders say that trading is 90% sitting on your hands. 90%. It's waiting. There's not always something to do. If you have an edge and you have setups, you have to let the market come to your setups. You be the casino, and you put the odds in your favor, because the only thing you can control is your risk. Nobody knows when you enter the trade, that what it's going to do. Nobody knows. Okay? Because if we all knew, we'd all be on yachts, right? It'd be easy. The game would be easy. So, and another thing that a successful trader, I don't remember who said this, but they said that you're successful in trading when trading is boring. Right? Because there's a lot of the days where I'm literally like, ooh, I like this setup, and then I watch it, and then it's like, well, now I don't like it. It's like you're a hunter, and you have to have the perfect shot, the perfect conditions to take your shot, because you only got one shot, right? But if you continuously put probabilities in your favor, where you're like, this should happen most of the times when you put the trade on, then over time you should be profitable. And of course, risk management is paramount. Risk management is paramount. So it's a little tidbit from me. again, uh, I'll check in with you guys midday to see if there's something I'm seeing that's kind of crazy or that will really something I look at. There's been a couple days with ticks and stuff like that that really give you a, tip their hand to show you what's really going in the market. So, because price action can definitely fool you. Okay. So anyway, I wish everybody a good day. And if I don't put a video out or anything, then I'll see everyone tomorrow.